Hi, everybody. Look who I have with me. Two of the most handsome men and amazing men on the planet are here with me today. The brothers, Koren, Isaac, and Thord. Koren, you are here for another amazing adventure with From Adversity to Awakening, transforming hardships into greater spiritual connection and joy. And I, of course, I hope you know by now, am Peggy O'Neill. I'm your host. And today we're going to hear about an amazing adventure of these brothers who have had some very I think I don't know what you're going to say when I ask you about your adversity, but my idea is that it's some kind of internal struggle that most people have an external struggle. I think maybe yours has a lot to do with the internal struggle from what I've heard you talk, but we'll see what happens. So stay tuned, everybody. Here we go. I'm going to tell you a little bit. Hi, Isaac. Hi, Thorold.
Peggy, so great to be with you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Peggy.
I'm
An
so
honor.
excited that you guys are here because these guys are like, well, music is my thing. And these guys just, when they sing, it's like angels incarnate. I mean, you just have a quick ticket to heaven, pure bliss. They're amazing. And maybe they'll sing for us before we finish our time. But I'm going to read you a little bit about what they've been up to. So 2024 People's Choice Webby Award winners, Brothers Koren and the Kin, that's their name, that's their band name, host an evening of songs and stories from their forthcoming live album, Long Way Home. Hailing from Australia, all the way from Australia, the brothers Koren embarked on a journey that took them around the globe, sharing stages with the likes of Coldplay, Pink, and Rod Stewart. I mean, imagine that, you guys. I mean, talk about a skyrocket to heaven. They are launched. They are launching their new album in service of their Your Big Voice Foundation, creating opportunities for people all ages and economic means to unlock their human potential through voice positive self expression. I mean, I tear up just reading those words. How incredibly beautiful of a vision to recognize that who we are must be expressed and that meaning, purpose, and fulfillment come through that process and helping people to overcome all the voices and conditioning that they don't matter, that they're small, that their voice doesn't matter. So before I even hear your story, thank you for your beautiful work.
Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you, Peggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
beautiful.
yeah. So anyway, we're going to talk about adversity today, and I want to. I don't know how you guys blend your story, if you tell individually or share a similar adversity, but why don't you tell us about your greatest or great adversity or adversities, and share about how that how did that impact your life?
Wow, what a question. I love that distinction that you made, though, which is powerful and helpful. This external suffering or adversity versus kind of the internal pathway. And they're not mutually exclusive, obviously. You know, we can have an external suffering and also suffer internally for it. But yes, you know, Torald and I have had the privilege, many privileges, you know, starting off, you know, growing up in an economically developed country, Australia. You know, it's a pretty sweet life there, you know, and, you know, growing up tall, white men, you know, brothers, we've always had each other,
You
we've always
said
had the
tall,
support
because
of
so
that,
many
yeah,
people take that for
yeah. Oh, it's big,
they take it for
yeah.
granted that not all men are tall, and when you are tall, you definitely have a definite perk. It's definitely an advantage. Thank you. Sorry
Yeah,
to interrupt you.
absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
And, you know, we did tour the world and realize so many of our dreams that have seemed and, you know, are impossible for so many that don't have the ability or access to those worlds. And we kind of stumbled into them occasionally. And, you know, we'll share a little bit about our story. But first, I want to acknowledge our privilege, you know, and that, yes, we have walked a world that has definitely started out in a world, and we share, you know, one of our wounds, you know, one of the kind of when life bumped into us, you know, we shared that first occurrence where we kind of had a perfect childhood in many accounts, in the sense that we did have a loving, happy home with, we shopped at the secondhand store like so many of my friends, but we never went without, and then one day our beautiful mum, who was
Your mom is super
yeah.
groovy.
She's super groovy. Exactly,
Yeah.
Peggy, and you've met her. And she was in the original cast of Pacific touring cast of Hair, and she is a rock star hippie and still is, by the way.
Yeah.
And she had this wild change of heart, and the story is long, but we'll shorten it, because ultimately she went against a lot of her maternal instincts, perhaps, and other thoughts, to leave the country. She left Australia. She left her husband of whatever, 20 years at the time, and left 3 kids behind.
And we
on
were
another
pretty young.
continent.
We were 15, 12. I was 12, and our sister was 9. So
Wow.
it's pretty
That's
young
choice.
time.
Big
Yeah.
choice. And one by one, we did follow her. But, that original kind of experience still kind of is unpacking. It was a transformational opportunity for us that we're still transforming in so many ways. So we'll get to that. But I think the greatest inner struggle that we've found was in kind of mental and emotional health, which is what drives us today in creating the foundation to bring music, song, and voice to the underserved voices that don't have the support that we had. My experience was around mental, more kind of emotional health, and that led to kind of a breakdown in my physical health, isolation.
It'll do that. It had the power to do that, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to let Taro jump in with his mental health story, and because I think that so many people, even in the corporate world, but all are homeless people, the mental health crisis that is an inner struggle as well as an outer struggle is so important.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, I kind of want to, share a number of adversities. But I will share on Isaac's prompting that, in my life I went through a critical case of obsessive compulsive disorder, and it wasn't until I was considered the weird, worried, neurotic kid, the one sitting at the edge of his bed touching wood for half an hour before he went to bed, just in case he could keep the family safe with these little rituals and compulsions. And it started out pretty innocently, but if you know anything about OCD, it's a series of anxious, obsessive thinking and sensation followed by some kind of compulsive ritual to relieve the anxiety. And that cycle continues ad infinitum with growth. And OCD got really Hollywoodified, so to speak, early on. People go, that's my OCD. I'm feeling a little OCD today. But real critical clinical OCD is, it's something you wouldn't wish on anyone.
Right.
It's a conscious madness. It's one that that you're suffering from something you just don't quite know how to stop. And so I experienced it particularly from 23, when I had this falling out with someone who really mirrored this unstable family experience I had, like Isaac was referencing with our mom.
Abandoned.
Exactly. It was a really shock to my sister around 23 years old. For the course of the next 8 years, I really had a hand in slow motion watching a very critical case of OCD form in my life. And luckily I had music. Luckily I had a commitment to Isaac to keep the band going. And I found a way to stay in just enough function to not completely disappear. I hate to spend too long thinking about if I didn't have the accountability of the support that I showed up to. So obviously it was up to me too to show up. But if I didn't have that, and I've met some people with very critical OCD over the years, being a behavioral coach and guide now, that don't have that, and their life becomes narrower and smaller. But it was luckily, Peggy, after a couple bottoms and almost losing my life to the experience, I had this just miraculous turnaround. It was It was a much longer story that I'll tell today, but it was a moment in time that I made a commitment to the universe to walk into what I was most afraid of, which was the terror that lay within me. Terror, sheer terror, layers of which I still am processing to this day, 12, 13 years later. But my commitment was to put down as best I could the rituals, to really do the work that I had gone to different programs to learn about, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, intensive treatment programs, that I recognized that if it wasn't now, then it was probably going to be the end. And so I made a commitment to walk into the worst of this obsession and anxiety, and quite quickly started to realize that I could guide others to do the same. And what it was a commitment to come back home into my body. And from a voice perspective, to come back home into my body and handle how uncomfortable it felt. And pretty quickly give voice to those feelings and let song and music and voice be a vehicle for me to feel what had gone unfelt, to start to metabolize and digest how terrified I was. And then I started coaching others to do the same. And so this adversity quite quickly, within a matter of months, became a passion, strangely enough. What I was most afraid of was becoming my gift quite quick. And you know, years followed. We did some great touring with our band, The Kin.
Could I stop you for a second?
Please.
I would rephrase it, instead of saying your fear was turning into your gift, more your facing your fear was
Yes.
shining the diamond of your gifts.
There you go.
Love that.
Love that distinction.
Great distinction, Peggy.
Without question, yes, it was. Carved in the wake of that experience was a new capacity, and one I'm very much still a student of, learning from, showing up to, and guiding others into those places with Isaac. We started almost 10 years ago, the Songwriter's Journey and other embodied voice programs to help people remember that sound, music, voice, song is an opportunity to heal and feel what's gone unfelt, to essentially voice what's gone unvoiced, which really, when you track back, mental and emotional health is an indigestion of experiences in life that went unheard, unsupported, and unvoiced.
Stuck, unvoiced emotion. You know, we it's so easy, and we're kind of trained in a way in many institutions to not express, to hold on, to stuff down our feelings, our emotions. We don't have a great hold on our.
I think we can all relate to learning big boys don't cry, little girls don't express anger, all of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So, there's other challenges that both of us have faced, but I think these the mental and emotional health challenge is still to this day how we fuel our work in the world, and what drives our why, our purpose, and why we love the work that we do. For me, getting to give people access to joy and to vitality, those two things that I lost without music in my life, really gives me a lot. And, the Your Big Voice Foundation really seeks to create voice positive spaces in schools and prisons and underserved communities, Indigenous communities, BIPOC communities, and really bring this safe space,
bring awakening, and bring transformation, all those things. So it's amazing that you guys had a mother who abandoned you, and there was spin out, right? I mean, I would say we could classify Thorold as a little more sensitive, maybe, and that would be my guess somehow. The internalization or grappling with that experience and the fear around mother is not at home. That took you into your therapies that allowed you to start coming back to your gifts, and now you're sharing your gifts with the world. So an amazing journey of adversity to awakening, and amazing journey from difficulty and hardship to experiencing more and more joy. Let's have a little break. I wanted to share with you about an incredible stress busting tool that I created called Tap for Joy. And it incorporates acupressure tapping, you may have heard of it, NLP, neuro linguistic programming, hypnosis, and somatic awareness into this mighty mouse of an app that can reduce stress and increase happiness. Check it out at Tap for Joy in the Apple Store, Tap for Joy, or an explainer video at tapforjoyapp.com. It will help you to come to center, reduce stress, have a better mood, be more amicable, boost your immune system, deal with past trauma, all kinds of things. There's also an upgrade you can get with lots of cool features. So check out Tap for Joy and tap your way to joy today. So let's get back to the interview now. So how would you say that do you want to say anything? I mean, I just sort of just repeated what you just said.
That you did a great job of that, Peggy.
It's a good summary.
Yeah, and I love this distinction that, it's the pressure of it, the difficulty when we can stand in the discomfort of it, when we can, when we can not add. Our mum would say, not add insult to injury, right? Because we call it the small voices, and when we listen to the small voices as if it's true, and that it means something about us, then those difficulties, it takes us longer maybe, but those we can that's where self-expression comes, because the small voices just want to be heard and loved and told that they're okay, and even expressed, we find.
And the feelings, and it's normal to have these feelings when these XYZ happens. It's completely natural that you would be experiencing some kind of inner craziness when this befalls you in your life, right? So I love that about the part of your awakening has been to recognize the role of digesting unfelt, buried emotions, because that's totally been my path all the way through. And it's what I do with my clients and, people that work with me, is to help them do in the process of inquiry. It's not singing, but to just be with themselves and say what's happening now. And then those voices and those feelings show up, and then they reveal the memories, and they reveal the forgiveness, and they reveal the understanding. And then somebody opens their mouth and something amazing comes out.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's so true.
And Peggy, it's at the individual level, which is so powerful for that, and cathartic for that human being to feel heard and seen and understood and reflected back in song, and any art form really. But
can I just throw in my little thing about music? Music is the unifier. Music is the thing that creates harmony, peace, and most importantly, lack of separation. So when a being is healing and music is added to the mix, it's like this magical elixir, right? It's like a special medicine that can really help to uplift the heart and bring the person into the oneness principle, that they're connected to everything. They're never alone.
I mean, we couldn't say it any better. And it releases oxytocin, which is, brings us together. It's that hormone in the brain that makes us know that we belong. And that's it's so important to our biology. One thing that we've found is that there's a collective song, there's a collective grief that is also unexpressed often. In fact, we were down just before the last hurricane in Florida, and we wrote a song with a couple of hundred
50
golf course managers in Florida. Right?
Resort managers.
Many people had not written a song. Most of them had never written a song, but together they got they were listening to each other, they were supporting each other, and together we wrote a song. And it really does capture something. And these managers had all been through the same adversities together, external mostly, and they put it all into a song, and maybe that's the song we'll sing an excerpt of later. But
Yeah.
you know, there's a collective grief that's constant, you know, that
song
wants
has a
to be
space for.
expressed, and so we've been writing songs with groups of people as well as individuals.
There's a trauma healing
as a-
tool. Yeah. And an anthem process to do that very thing you're talking about. Because song and music is beyond, and it's beyond and before the word in a way. You know, it's like we sing ourselves into existence.
Well, it also brings the two sides of the brain together, which is
It
what
does.
creates wholeness, right?
Yeah.
That sense of belonging. And I just want to comment that for you two to have listened to your small voice and to have responded and digested and healed and blossomed and shining your light in the world, gave you the ability to listen, to hear the cry from Florida all the way across the continent. They live in Ohio, right down the street from me right now.
Yeah.
And that you would hear that voice that was inaudible in a way, and that you would respond and go there. And I mean, that was what impressed me so much. Besides, great, awesome that it created healing, but also that you guys have healed so much that you can hear the cry that needs to be helped, and that
Yeah.
much of your work
Thank you.
is with
And it never
people.
ends.
Yeah,
It
no,
doesn't end, right? Like
it doesn't.
we're not healed. We are healing, right? And
Yes.
even on this cross country tour, we launched our foundation. We went across the country to raise awareness for music and voice for mental and emotional health. And we stopped off at a youth group home, an orphanage. These kids blew our mind, right?
Tell me.
Well, they're we can't say too much because some of them aren't even safe. But we got to witness their greatness, and they got to witness their own greatness, and that we wrote a song together, which was, I think, hopefully we can sing the song eventually as a way to kind of be an ambassador for their voices. But after we wrote a song together, one by one, without being prompted, these kids between the ages of 8 and 16, one by one, a whole handful have got up on the mic and have never done this before, but they told their adversity story.
Yeah, they felt safe enough to share.
And their transformation.
How many
claimed it
homes
right
they'd been placed in, how many times they'd been through trauma or abuse. And the director of this group home was like, I've never heard some of these stories.
And for the first time, in just before we wrote the song, we're telling our story, as we always do, because we know it's important and healing to tell your story. So everyone has one, and everyone, benefits, we believe, that's our bias, from sharing it, whether it's to one person or a group. But we like to tell our story and honor our beautiful wild mum, who
Yesterday,
heard it good, right? And for the first time, well, let me just finish this little moment. So for the first time, telling this story about mum leaving and the whole country and being kind of isolated and abandoned in that way, for the first time, the whole room got what I meant, and I saw it, and I was like, whoa. They all understand for the first time, not just 10 or 20, but the whole room got it. And I was like, the orphan in me saw itself for the first time in the lens of these kids. And I was like, whoa, I have a new small voice that I didn't know I had, right? And, that for me was an internal experience as well as a she didn't orphan us, and we were always welcome to be with her. But there was a part of me that felt orphaned, and for me to claim that part of him and to be witnessed claiming it in one moment by these kids was pretty powerful. And so if we can be that, like you said, if we can be that honest with ourselves, and the healing does itself. We're built to heal, right? And we're built to heal ourselves. What we found through the voice and music and song is that by singing and also putting our story and our creative impulse into play, into our life in a daily way, that's, that is healing enough. For most of us, we get to grieve a lot through that. And I think it's a good time to maybe just share what we mean by small voice, because we've been kind of saying it a bit, but
I was just gonna go to that. Yeah.
Tara, do you want to
Before
define small
what I
voice?
was going to say earlier was that yesterday I heard someone say growth cannot happen unless vulnerability is present. So by the
Yeah.
fact that you guys got up in front of them and shared your abandonment story,
Yeah.
allowed them to see your vulnerability, and that opened the door to their
Yeah.
hearts, to their minds, to their
To
listening,
ours.
to their cooperation, everything.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then also was thinking that, I talk about inner smallness and inner bigness. And you guys talk about the small voice and how amazing that when you went there, they feel probably orphans feeling very rejected and abandoned and small inside. And then you give them this vulnerability, you give them a tool called music, and they engage and interact with you and them, and they're lifted to this place where then their inner bigness, like you didn't coach them on how to get up in front, like, and like that was
No.
a spontaneous
Yeah. We didn't
spontaneous
even ask
feeling
them.
and the
We didn't even
emotional.
invite them.
They
Yeah.
Joe Dispenza talks about spontaneous physical healing. This is like spontaneous emotional healing. I
I
love
love that.
Yeah. And it was,
I
and it
love
really
that.
was. And even more happened in the room. I mean, we're built to know what to do when we're given the right conditions, the right environment, right? The right space. And part of that is it has to start with a safe space. I think it also has to be a playful space that we get encouraged to step into.
Yes.
And a lot of us are waiting for the invitation. Most of us are waiting to be seen, to be heard, to be reflected back, which is what is missing when someone is unsupported, is to be seen, heard, and reflected back.
It's true.
And it's a food group. It really is, and it's beyond voice, music, song. It just happens that music and song creates that place we're talking about. But we are voice at all times, and what we discovered looking at our own mental and emotional health journeys, but also what we discovered in guiding voice. A few things. One is voice is terrifying for many people.
At least 75% of the population have some form of fear of voice or glossophobia,
Well,
fear
they've
of
been
public
trained to be
speaking.
so. They
Yeah.
have been trained to
They
be
have.
listening
Yeah.
only to authority and to doing whatever
Yeah.
someone tells them
And
to do.
presentation.
It's a voice hostile world, we like to say, and
Yeah.
and we want to create and we seek to create voice positivity in many ways. But through, like Tarl said, by working with hundreds of people, writing thousands of songs with them in our songwriters journey, we saw over time that there's five main small voices that seem to kind of rear up as soon as we go towards using our voice for at least 75% of us.
And that could be speaking or singing. I mean, some people are as scared to speak as they are to sing, or vice versa. So it's
So what's the
interchangeable.
definition of small voice
Yeah,
to
so
us?
it's any automatic and negative leaning, or any automatic and unsupportive leaning thought, feeling, sensation, or emotion that triggers in your biology, which means your mind or body, as you move to share your voice, right? As you move to express who you are in any way in front of yourself and others, these small voices, these negative leaning, automatic, reactive parts, thoughts, feelings, sensations go off inside us.
So basically, anything negative that you have to say about your voice is not actually you, it's a small voice, right?
Right.
And so the big voice has no judgment.
It's the definition
has-
of a small voice.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's a high order. So there's five main small voices that jumped out. The big voice being that patient, often very quiet and doesn't need a lot of, to be performing or, just it's nourished by being seen and heard and understood and recognized. And it's patient and knows that time will come. But the small voices are loud and they want the attention, and they
want to warn you.
So they're kind of
They
screaming
get
at us.
protective personality, right? They're,
Totally.
Yeah.
They just
So
want to
the
warn
top
us.
five small voices in no particular order that kind of seemed to come up after all these hundreds of journeys was, firstly, I'm not good enough, right? That always kind of popped up.
that's a pretty universal theme since every ego has it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and I think particularly around the voice, because it's naturally not naturally, actually,
Not naturally.
but non-naturally or societally created comparison around it, even though naturally every voice is unique.
Right.
We have voice recognition software that recognizes how distinct we are.
And yet
right?
we spend so much of our time comparing and competing with what is out there that we might not be. But that, the enoughness goes in every direction. Not studied enough, didn't go to school enough, not young
high
enough
enough,
anymore, should have done that when I was 8.
Rich enough, powerful enough.
Exactly.
All of that. But around the voice,
And around the voice
it's
particularly, does it
particularly-
sound good enough, and do I look good enough to stand up on this stage and speak or sing?
So my voice is not enough.
Yeah.
I definitely suffered from that one. Even when we were playing to 20,000 people, and, supporting Pink and Coldplay, I would have that enoughness come up, and so I had to kind of, reparent that small voice in me. Second is I'm not
it
worthy.
today because I had my bangs cut yesterday.
It looks
Too
lovely.
short. I'm like, anyway, I'm not trying to distract anyone. I just thought,
Thank you for being honest.
Throw it in. Let's declare our small voices. Everybody, anybody? And then second one
please.
is I'm not enough, or my voice doesn't matter. Unworthy. That comes up.
I'm not worthy. It could be, often we find I'm unworthy or not worthy enough to be something that, affects emotionally sensitive people. Maybe someone feels responsible for a hard time or a challenge with someone. They feel guilty.
Empath. Yeah.
They feel not worthy of their full expression. Or even a mother that's finally had their kids leave the nest, and suddenly there's this space that they've been giving away, or any parent, of course, but almost like, can I take the stage of my life again? Can I actually fill the space with, I'm so used to giving away the microphone to other voices around me.
Other voices matter more.
Yeah. And so this is a very interesting one. It's sort of born in the wake of like mothering and altruistic behavior. But what we've recognized is, no, we actually need to take our own voice space so we can stand in solidarity with others. Another one is I'm unsafe. And that's really at the core of my OCD experience with my adversity was I'm unsafe. I'm unsafe to be in this body. I'm unsafe energetically. I'm unsafe to not do these behaviors. I'm unsafe. I need to be in control and make sure I'm safe. And we see a lot of people that have been through trauma of any kind of challenge or hardship have a really hard time taking the risk with sharing their voice without having to be at the mercy of that small voice.
That's a big one. And next is it's not perfect. Or it's got to be perfect, or I'm not doing it.
Right.
I'm not
The
perfect.
great paradox.
I'm not perfect. As if that was ever something worth attaining.
Has it been anybody?
It's overrated, isn't it? Surely. And when we listen, and when around the voice, it's interesting because we have software to perfect it, and it's perfect. But you listen to your favorite artists of all time, and they're not perfect. It's actually the little imperfections that you love.
That's
right?
true.
It's not necessarily
like you
the
were saying the other
perfections.
day on one of the songs on our new album coming out in January, Isaac was like, I love, this is my favorite moment of this song where and he like showed it to me, and I haven't once thought that's my favorite moment. But to Isaac, I was like running out of air in the perfect desperate kind of way, right? And he was like,
He'd
it was
lost
like
control
you
for
were
a
out of
moment.
control
Yeah.
for that one moment. I just love it.
I trusted him deeply.
How cool is that,
Yeah, I think for me, the artists I love are the ones that are authentic and the ones that are highly produced and all that glam on top of
Yeah.
their voice or their appearance or their musical background is, for me, such a turnoff. So
Yeah,
there's
there you
something
go.
very powerful about vulnerability, which leads to authenticity.
Yeah.
100%.
And there's one more small voice that's really surprising. It's I'm too much. I'll be outcast. I'll be uninvited.
Yeah. Or don't be too much, right? So
Don't
this
be too
this
much.
alarm triggered in the biology is quite prevalent. We thought it was much more of an Australian or English colonial thing, because we call it the tall poppy syndrome in Australia. It means, don't stick out, don't leave the village, don't give yourself too much attention, otherwise you might get criticized.
But it's
What
an
we find
internal family.
it's an internal thing, but it's also very much here in America. It's in all cultures where maybe it comes from the family dynamic. Maybe you stepped out and you were like, here I am. And you made your sister jealous, your brother, your father, your mother jealous. You created an unwanted negative reaction. So we find that people that are suffering from this small voice often dim themselves down.
Hey, let's have a little break. And I wanted to share with you about one of my superpowers, which is helping people get through really tough stresses, difficulties, issues, and even trauma or traumas. Lots of people have worked with other people and said, I couldn't break through, but with you, I could. And not only do I help you like get to breakthrough, but also help you to pull back the layers of stress, melt the ice of frozen energy inside of you, and give you access to the beautiful ocean of creative intelligence that's inside of you and all its qualities like strength, courage, wisdom, joy, laughter, and compassion, etc. So chatwithpeggy.us is my scheduling, and sign up for a discovery call. You can work with me one-on-one on phone, Zoom, in person over time, or come to my hometown for a weekend intensive. I look forward to working with you that way if your heart is so drawn.
So to summarize, maybe you'll have all of these in your choir, in your head, these small voices, but I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy or don't matter, I'm unsafe, it's got to be perfect, and don't be too much. Yeah. And, these come up again to kind of take the microphone. And, instead of wage a war with them, we like to look at all of these small voices like they are not a problem to fix, that there's actually nothing wrong, and that they're actually these breadcrumbs or invitations to your greatness. It is uncommon perhaps, but these small voices, when loved, when reparented, when integrated, when voiced, when given safe space to emerge, like you say, Peggy, they become the beautiful potential for the diamonds. You're sitting
to
on
the awakening.
You're looking for gold, but you're sitting on diamonds.
Yes, thank you. I mean, I think all of the audience can benefit as these for tools to overcome their own inner small voice dealing with whatever adversity that they're dealing with, right? And the question I have for you, I have two more. The one is, in your own lives, finding your inner bigness or your big voice or the integration of your gifts with your self-expression, how did it create more connection for you with spirit, with each other, with family, with nature, whatever? How do you feel like it impacted your sense of connection?
In every single way. I mean, to me, mental illness drives us to feel distant and disassociated.
Right.
To be disempowered, to be disassociated from self.
Disconnected.
And, if you're out there experiencing anxiety or panic or of course depression or other stuff, it really just drives us to feel disclaimed from our essential and inherent value, and it drives us out of feeling associated. And this is like a really practical thing. At my worst, I didn't feel associated with this body.
Yes.
Like I didn't feel behind my face. I remember touching the armchair or the couch being like, I don't feel like this is my hand touching this couch. Like it didn't feel real when I felt really anxious. And so there's a huge opportunity as we reassociate and even include the parts of us that have been making us feel terrified or uncomfortable. And we start to stay home, move home anywhere. We start to reparent those parts. We start to embrace the parts of us that have felt small, and we allow them to be surrounded by the bigness inside. We start to awaken to that possibility. We start to recognize that through trust, that we have the access suddenly to this like whole other level of spectrum. What I noticed, Peggy, directly was when I started to not follow those behaviors sending me into those anxious, distorted places, I started to like be able to do something like create in the world for like 10 hours, and I wasn't even tired. Like I realized I had so much more vitality and battery power to like invest in the service of art, creativity, and also others. Like I suddenly looked up and I saw other people that needed my solidarity, that needed my service as well, not, and that I could help serve them in the ways that I had just served myself. So that's what I see, is that there's this huge opportunity to connect with others that need the gift, the elixir that you discovered,
And how
daring
about
to
just like
lean
your
in.
family? How about just like your wife, your kids? Like, what do you,
Oh,
maybe back then it was a girlfriend or whatever.
yeah, I'm so grateful to say I didn't have kids until I was uh, more mentally well.
Yeah,
It gave me the opportunity to just be present, to be here with you now,
yeah.
which is no small feat. And I'm not necessarily a master of that at all times. To say, okay, that's great. That's then, at least for this moment, I'm here now.
And how does it impact you to feel here now?
It impacts everything. It impacts my. It, it's such a great question. How does it impact now? It leaves an indelible mark on me and the person I'm with.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. And that is a beautiful way to say it because it does give you, it's memorable. It's impressionable. It's something that, like when you're with somebody like right now, I won't forget this for a long time because you guys are so present and the level of connection is so beautiful and deep and rich, right? So like, how could I forget that? And it's so enriching for me and I think for you and whatever. Okay, so did you want to say anything about that, Isaac?
Well, I know you've got another question, so why
I
don't
did.
I'll
Okay,
go first on the next one.
this goes down maybe a rabbit hole and maybe you can make it
I'm
short.
good for a rabbit hole.
Okay,
A
uh,
warren.
I want to know one of the things that impressed me about you guys the most that I've heard about your story is that you were at the top of your game in terms of the world-class rock and roll tour situation. You're touring with Rod Stewart and Pink, all this stuff, and you're out in front of thousands and thousands of people, and they're throwing at you phenomenal love energy and all that, and you're doing music and creating transformation in a certain way, and you decided to give it up because, as far as I understand it, your soul was speaking, maybe your small voice was speaking to you to go in another way. So for me, the adversity of achieving what we have been conditioned, I don't know why my background is so kooky today. For you to achieve what the culture has told us is success, to decide that you're going to move away from that and follow something internal is in some way a great adversity and also a great gift. So I mean, it's hard to follow your heart when you have people throwing money and love and whatever other accolades, sex, drugs, rock and roll at you, right? Like, can you comment about that adversity and how dealing with it impacted your level of joy in life?
Beautiful question.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that pivot moment was more following our big voice than our small voice.
Oh,
I think our small voices were deathly afraid of giving up and
that's
failure.
a great distinction. Love that.
Yeah. And so instead of giving up, we gave in. We gave in to the deeper, bigger voice that wasn't as loud as the terror of giving up. And we gave in to something that didn't even make sense at the time, that it told us what we needed to do. But yeah, I would say that the music
I
business.
didn't explain to the audience what actually you did, so maybe you could say that.
Okay. Yeah, we were touring the world, playing to 20,000 people a night. We're on a major label, trying to get onto another major label, as it happens. We were fighting this kind of fight to share conscious music with the mainstream, and it was tough, and it was kind of against the current in a way. Like, we weren't singing about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like it didn't do it
Doesn't
for us.
sell, babe. So why would the producers want you, right?
Right. So that was, but we got, we
quite
moved
far.
our conscious music pretty
Yeah,
far,
pretty far.
up the line, and it didn't hit the radio lever
In America,
but
anyway,
and so we started writing songs for others because we thought, imagine, it's not just under our artist project. We can put conscious music out there, and surely there's artists out there that want to sing songs with substance and spirit, highly charged music. And so within 6 months of doing that for, insert famous person here, we looked at each other and thought, this is not authentically us. This is not bringing us joy.
Not the way we were doing
it. It's not the way. So we thought, well, if this is not the way, then what is it? And so just like a song, something came to us, which was like, imagine if we could get to know someone as if we were their brothers, get to study the music they've always loved, their unique voice, and their story that they've walked. Just like you're fascinated with all of these stories.
Yeah, and what if we could
fascinated.
invite them into like a container? And we're like, well, what if it was like a coaching experience for a first-time artist? And we wrote it down, someone requested us, and Peggy, within a couple of people, of course, we had a great time with the first person that said yes. Within a couple of people, we recognized this was for anyone. Like this was for ultimately any walk of life, anyone at any age that had had a dream, or not even a dream, recognized real time when they met us, gosh, if I used music, song, and voice over the course of many months in a container, that I could express what has gone unexpressed in a way that my ancestors did. So we ended up
Oh God, I love
working with hundreds of people, and that's why we're here with you today. 10 years later, we have done the songwriter's journey through small groups or privately with approaching 400 people to well over 1,000 songs. We've created many body voice programs that usher people back home to their whole body voice. And so it's our great mission to help people discover the very thing that we've been getting to use our whole lives.
And we keep the oxygen mask on ourselves. We are just about to release our second album in 5 years. And we're reclaiming the name The Kin. So it's Brothers Koren and The Kin. We've got a full band. And we're
very exciting.
we're unabashedly putting conscious music out into the world. And, without a filter, right?
filter.
Like we were filtering it before to keep it cool, to keep it hip. Screw that. Like
this is the first unfiltered
This is like
brew.
preyed on.
This is
tickled,
authentic.
This is
who we
home
are.
cooked meals.
Yes, it really is. And this album that's forthcoming, we're going to start with some singles in October, November, December. I would say that's it. It's unapologetically us. With a mission attached, which is how do we include all voices?
It should be like celebrating that it's us, because the culture is so, we're so used to the culture smoldering who we really are. So celebrate that you guys have pulled off all of the accolade, all of the layers of pretense, and all of the layers of the carrot at the end of the stick, and just stayed true to that big voice inside and expressed your inner bigness, and had the courage and the faith and the skills to create something incredibly beautiful. And how can people get your new album?
Oh my gosh, thank you for asking. Well, you can follow along with everything we're up to at brotherskoren.com. And there's 2 invitations. Please, go to Brothers Koren and the Kin on Spotify. Has that already been consolidated, or?
Yeah, you could go to Brothers Koren on Spotify.
How do you spell Koren for us?
Koren. And I want to make a direct invitation to anyone listening. If you have counted yourself out, or if you're stimulated by today's conversation, we invite you to consider coming closer to us. There's never been more ways you can step into your voice with us.
Especially if you've got a choir of small voices.
Especially. And if you've never considered creating, sounding out who you are this lifetime and letting music song voice be the wind that carries that and leaves this mark, this indelible mark of music. It's not too late. In fact, most people we work with, you know, in their 50s and 60s, and they've recognized, like, if not now, when? We're your brothers to do that with. So write to us, brotherskoren.com. You'll find there's free gifts there. There's ways to write to us directly about learning about our programs. Please come closer.
Yeah, and I think to answer that question that I didn't get to answer, I think it shows up everywhere. And the greatest place and the most important place it shows up is your relationship with self, right? Because we're number one. We've all we've got, in a way, right? We're born alone and we die alone. And that's a hard reality that no one wants to face. But if we can actually just come home to who we are, this being, this experience that we are, and have right relation with it, have voice positive relationship, for example, then I don't know, life gets better too.
And then we want to give to each other, right? Like we talked about the oneness energy. Well, you start with this oneness right here, and then you want to spread that. Suddenly you're this magnetic light. You want to like connect with others because you've got a flame.
I love that about you, Peggy, right? Like we like to say, because in Australia, it's not good if you're into yourself, right? But we say poo-poo to that. Like, get off yourself. Our grandmother would say, get off yourself and into yourself. And we love that you're into yourself. Like, you're all that. You're badass. You're Peggy, right? And it's like, it's not in an obnoxious way. It's in a real, authentic way. I'm actually into myself, and I'm into the purpose that I am living. And, you know, we invite more people to be into themselves in the best possible way, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think and being into yourself is a way of being connected. Like you said, if we need to connect with ourselves, and from that place is where the authenticity comes. That's where the ability to connect to others come. And that's where the ability to experience more love and joy comes from. So
That's right. Amen.
In talking with you, I just see hearing this part of your story has made me appreciate how, again, you know, with my like story after story that I'm interviewing, but how an adversity and dealing with it, I mean, not dealing with it can take you sort of off of the deep end and a lot of suffering and difficulty. And then, you didn't even go into much detail. I'm sure there's a lot of details about that. And then how, when you made your awakening, I need to commit to being true to myself, to not being swayed by these small voices, and to being straight. And then the healing started to happen, and your emotional healing started to happen. And now you're so full of beauty and fullness that all you can do is give to orphans and give to people who are suffering down in Florida because their business just went down the tubes, or bringing in people that, you know, that are having some kind of trauma, or helping people that have never been able to speak up in front of others, and or even deem themselves as unworthy. Like, all these things are so incredible that your journey through adversity to awakening has brought to the planet. And I'm so honored to have you, and so happy to have you share your story with my audience. And just can't wait to see you next weekend.
Yes. Thank you so much, Peggy. It's a pleasure to be here and
but
have been in this convo.
Before we go, I just give you a chance to say anything that you may have wanted to communicate.
I think I just want to sing an excerpt of that song that we wrote with those Florida
Thank
managers.
you, Koren. I did want you to sing as the
I know. And
okay,
we kind of said yes.
Stay to the end because we got a special surprise.
Okay, let's see. I just want to make sure can you hear this piano?
Yes.
All right.
Let's maybe get to the end of the first chorus or something.
All right. So this is an excerpt of a song
Or second.
called Freedom Road that was written by between 100 and 200 people.
And we want to send it out, sing it for these, you know, all of the people in this this hurricane, Helene, that are kind of starting again and looking for that. Pick me up. Hope.
Today I woke up, I guess heaven can wait. I took a pink rocket ship to the moon. I'm surrounded by all my friends, but feeling all alone, knowing that's not true. Guess our love will come back soon. I'm worthy, I'm wonderful. What am I grateful for? Does anyone really know? Do you? I do. When I hear the voice of doubt, I have to drown it out. Love will take you up to freedom road. Love will take you up to freedom road. Love will take you up to freedom road. Love will take you up to freedom road.
The abridged version just for you, Peggy.
I love the road to freedom, babe.
You're holding the flag for it. I love it.
Thank you very much. All right,
Thank you.
everybody. Tune in again. Thank you, brothers. You're just remarkable. And thank you for sharing all your gifts of wisdom, beauty, skill, mastery, music, and love with us. Many blessings.
Thanks for having
And
us.
to you.
Bye.
All right. Well, thanks for being a fan of the podcast, and I would love if you would subscribe. Also wanted to remind you about that mighty little app, Tap for Joy, and share with you about the amazing features for just $5 a month, like a no-brainer, right? You're going to get some amazing tools for decreasing stress and increasing happiness, like a happy memory journal, which rewires your brain for happiness. You're going to get a bunch of customized tapping dialogues, which pinpoint and target your stress areas, a learn center, a bunch of other stuff, and a 5-day challenge. Highly recommend that for getting the most out of your results for decreasing stress and increasing happiness. So check out Tap for Joy, download it now in the Apple Store, try it out. You'll be surprised and amazed at how amazing it is, how remarkable it is, and how transforming it is. And I will see you on the next episode. So long for now.